We are delighted to have Vesna conducting this fourth edition of the Global Women in Music concert, a unique and groundbreaking concert by the United Nations Symphony Orchestra held on annual basis, conducted by a woman conductor and featuring women composers from around the world.
Here tomorrow is called Heroic. It was written for a video game, which is also called Heroic. Actually, 8 years ago now, when I was a student at Berklee College of Music, and I had this wonderful opportunity to go to Air Studios in London and to record the piece. So I'm very happy that I'm going to hear the piece live again since 8 years ago. It's very exciting, yeah.
Very exciting indeed. And since this concert is so much about global women in music and also calling out the inequities of not hearing enough of you ladies, not by design of your side certainly, but video game music on top of it, I think that's kind of a unique niche right there for a female composer. What do you think?
It is exactly. What I love about video games is that orchestral music kind of transferred from films to video games now, and I really like writing for orchestras, so this was an amazing opportunity to me to kind of go into this gaming world and to explore orchestral writing more. And I never was a gamer, I have to admit, but as soon as I discovered beautiful games that are out there, I started playing games also. I think it's important if you're writing for games to understand also the media. So now I'm a passionate gamer, but also a composer for games. So I'm very happy. There is a community of women game composers out there. Right now I was at GDC like a day ago in San Francisco, the biggest gaming conference, and there is Alliance for Women Composers who is kind of connecting us all together. So I think we're kind of building our community even stronger every day, yeah.
Great to know. Great to hear, too, that we're breaking into that market as well. One unique moment that you really want the listeners to lean into, a particular moment within the piece. Is there something you want to flag for us?
So this was written for a picture. We will not have a picture tomorrow, which is kind of interesting for me because I'm very excited to hear from the audience what kind of picture they had in their mind while the piece was playing, because it's very exciting. It's almost changing every 4 bars, something new appears, because the cinematic that I was writing for is filled with action and like different characters, so I needed to introduce characters almost every 15 seconds. So I'm going to ask them actually after the show how many times they heard reoccurring themes, for example, how many characters do they think there was in the video that I was scoring to.
Morena, we are here in New York City the day before you're about to present a piece you composed. Tell me what I'm going to be hearing on Friday.
This is so exciting. So this piece that I will be presenting is called The Things You Will Never Hear. And it's a mixture of styles in between jazz, language, and classical music, because that's kind of the world that I usually live around. I started in the classical music world in Teatro Colón, where I grew up in Argentina. And when I came here to New York like 6 years ago, I discovered the beautiful jazz music, and it had a lot of influence in the way I write. And I was like, I feel it would be great to start to like fusion things and styles. So my piece has like parts that are fully symphonic and parts that are like jazz trio, like bass, drums, and piano, for example, or like an alto sax solo. So I think it's a beautiful mixture of cultures from where I'm from and the world in which I grew up, and also New York City and jazz.
When we think about jazz, particularly in New York City, I think Latin jazz, of course. So am I listening for a clave rhythm, a 3-2-2-3 rhythm?
Not really. I think it would would be more in the style of like standards or like some newer jazz influences, but like it's more about like the harmonic world we're living in, and also those like little sections of like a solo cadenza that is a sax, which is not usually what we hear in a symphonic orchestra setting. So I think it's those flavors of this New York world that we're living in.
Well, I love it too because this concert, of course, is all about celebrating female composers, female conductors, really the contribution that women are there and have been around ready to make for quite some time, maybe just haven't been given the chance. So I think the name of your piece is also very timely. It's the things that she doesn't say we have to listen to.
Exactly. I'm actually a singer, but it's ironic that I never really sing in my pieces. I always want it to be instrumental because I want the music to speak for itself. And I think it's really important to give a space for women to have really a voice within the composition world, which is heavily dominated by male influence. So it's beautiful to let my music just speak for women around the world and let it be my media.
Hanging out together today, right here at the NH Collection Hotel. But this is the calm before the storm. Tomorrow, we're going to hear a piece that you composed. Tell me what the name of it is and what to expect.
Yes, so my piece for the concert is called Going Home, and it's about this universal feeling of feeling in peace when you arrive home and you feel familiar and happy regarding where you belong. Cinema, it's a big influence in my own compositions, but also you will listen a lot of influences from classical music and even jazz harmonies. And well, I try to make it as emotional as possible, but mostly it's a journey.
I love the fact that we are celebrating with this concert women composers,
Yeah.
giving them space not only on Friday night, but going forward and really calling out the inequity. And you're writing a piece about home. And if anybody ever makes the home, it's always our ladies. So I think it's a wonderful piece for us to get to hear.
In going home, each of you will discover your own space and your own sonorities within the piece. You will relate to different things. You will imagine different things. So just be open to feel the experience and travel with the music as well.
And is this the world premiere or is it premiered someplace else?
It's the world premiere.
Well, exciting for us in New York, huh?
Yes.
And where's home for you?
Well, home is actually also New York, but mostly Galicia, a home region in Spain, my home region in Spain. I've been living in New York for the past 4 years though, so I do consider New York part of my home nowadays as well.
Well, welcome home. Valerie, tomorrow we're going to hear your work. What's the name of the work and what are we in for?
This is part of an 8-movement work called Chiara Pura. which is 8 movements about home. At the New York University Global Institute for Advanced Studies, I've had the opportunity to go around in many, many different places. In Cuba, in Santiago de Cuba, I began writing this work. So it's all about home, concepts of home. To a spiritual person, home might be a state of mind or a frame of or state of life or a life condition. To a homeless person, it might only be a hope. So those movements explore the concept of home. And the movement, we're going to hear the title track of the suite, if you will. And that is about the homes on the way from the airport to the center of Santiago de Cuba.
How wonderful is that? And also the fact that you wrote this on Cuba, because there is that sense Cuba is an island, and there is that isolation that you go into as the artist that brings in and filters sort of your own home, as it were, of this island of creativity, I would think.
The thing that struck me, which I hope will be conveyed in the piece of music, is Cuba has such strong influence from West Africa. It also has strong Native American influences. So I'm going to be playing, I'm also performing the piece. So I'll be playing an instrument called jil, which is a West African pentatonic marimba. I'll be singing in Diné, which is also called Navajo. So I hoped then to bring those elements, and then of course the orchestra brings the European element. So if you stretch your mind enough, we hope that those 3 elements will come together in the piece.
There's such a wonderful opportunity, too, because oftentimes we hear these works that may have a folk tradition, or as you're pointing out, an Afro, in this case, not just Afro-Latin, but also indigenous culture as well.
Yes.
But sometimes that gets pushed off and pigeonholed in its own section. But I think that opportunity, when you hear a work like this, that I'm imagining now, heard with a classical orchestra, and quite a large one at that.
Yes.
What new ground does that break for the listener? Never mind for the composer, but for the listener. What's your hope there?
It's my hope in all of the things that I write for this instrument, jil, and an orchestra, that the listener could understand on a different level the relationship between West African music and gospel, rock and roll, jazz, R&B. I wouldn't say this is not an R&B or jazz or rock and roll piece, not at all. But I think you will hear, or at least I would hope that one would hear those influences and how related they really are.